Okay, tiny preamble for this. The video is going to be about 20 minutes long, so if you've got time and you want to sit and listen to me for 20 minutes, then thank you. And hopefully you do. Hopefully there's some food for thought in this. This may provoke emotions and opinions in some people that watch this, and they want to tell me how much they disagree with me. Okay, it's cool that you disagree with me. I accept that you disagree with me, but this is not your platform. Okay, this is not your page. Your voice will not be heard here. Okay, and so I'm going to ask you to please save your time and don't comment on it. Okay, I don't like banning people from this page. I don't particularly like having to delete comments either, okay, but I do it. And the reason why I do it is so that the people who are ready to receive this message can hear a clear message from me and from the people that I have learned from, okay, without interference of somebody turning around and saying, yeah, you're wrong because it's okay to use a slip lead on a dog. Okay, there's plenty other places where you can go and find information on how to use a slip lead on a dog, and there's plenty other places that will tell you all the reasons why they think it's okay to use them. I don't, so you'll not hear that information here, and you'll not hear it from me, and you'll not hear it from anybody else. This is not a discussion page, okay? It's not a discussion group. It is an arm of my business, and I promote positive training and humane interactions with our animals. So hopefully you'll enjoy the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Much love to you. Hi folks, this one might be a little bit longer than normal, so you can check the time on it to see how long it is, and if you've got time to watch it, and if not, you can bookmark it and come back. So I've been putting some discussion up of late on horse training and how there are some parallels with horse training and dog training. In fact, there's not some parallels, there's a lot of parallels. Some differences, the two main differences are that horses are prey animals, okay, so potentially subject to a flight response more than dogs. That's the first one. The next one is their size, okay, so they're considerably bigger than our dogs are. The next one is that horses don't live in the house with us, which our dogs do. And the last one is, there'll be more than this, but the next one would be the reason why people get horses versus people get dogs. So people buy or adopt a dog as a companion, among other things, but we generally have interactions with horses in order to ride them. So what we need from the animal, our relationship with that animal, is different from in species. Lots of moral considerations in this, okay, so I'm going to ask you to park some of these just now when I'm talking about them. So when we've got humans on this planet have to have some relationship with other species, okay, it's just that we're the dominant species in the planet just now anyway, and we have to have we have these relationships with other species. So how do we then maximize the benefit to all species from our relationships with them? So I'm going to ask you to park when I'm having these discussions about whether we should be having animals in captivity or not. Okay, and I'm not talking about domestic animals, because I'm going to go on to talk about exotics in a second. So given that we do have exotics, okay, we have animals which are not domesticated, and we have relationships with these animals in captivity. We have them regardless. That is the fact of the matter, okay? I know that some people object to it. I've got my own thoughts about it, but I'm not going to, that's not what we're here to, what I'm talking about during this video. So what happened as I've been studying and I learned dog behaviour was, I remember going to a conference a few years ago, or a seminar, and there was a mix, and it was probably about 50-50 or 40-60 thereabouts, of dog trainers and other animal trainers. So zoo parks and safari parks, aquaria, and a few other places. And one of the things that came up from it was that dog trainers and dog people have started learning from started learning from trainers of exotic animals a couple of decades ago, because we um, we found out that we couldn't coerce, or it was dangerous to coerce exotic animals, okay, so zoo animals, into doing the behaviours that we wanted them to do. So we can coerce horses and dogs, no problem. No problem, it's easy to do. That's what I mean by it, okay. I don't think I have a problem with it, but it's easy to do. But it's not as easy to do with an elephant, a lion, or a bear, okay, because those animals are dangerous, okay. So the way that zoo animal training went was they started using much more positive reinforcement and a lot of environmental control, okay, so control of the environment so that the behaviors that we want are easy and the behaviors that we don't want are difficult, and then we start reinforcing the behaviors that we do want, okay. So because exotic animal trainers started learning that way for both humane reasons and for safety reasons, they had a lot to teach dog trainers. And if we look at, I remember going to, so I'm 50 this year. I remember going to up in 1992 was probably the last one it was, so that was 31 years ago, in a park, and it was Cedar Point in Ohio in the US, and it was a trainer who was using a whip. He used some food as well, but he was using a whip to train I think there was probably 10 leopards in the cage with him as he was doing this act. And then I remember as a child going to the circus and seeing, so this would have been in the very late 70s or early 80s, seeing lions and tigers with a whip. The trainer was using a whip, okay. Now the reason why, one, we shouldn't be doing circus performing with animals anyway, I get that, okay. But one of the reasons why they started moving away from coercive training with apex predators was they tend to kill the trainer eventually, okay. And there's loads of video of that. You can look it up on YouTube where lions, bears, tigers, elephants, I know they're not an apex predator, but they're a dominant, one of the more dominant species in their environment, start killing the trainer. And the reason that happens is, one, that they're not domesticated, and two, it's been a history of coercion and abuse, okay. So that's just to give you some history of it. So dog trainers started learning from zoo animal trainers, and then zoo animal trainers started learning more from dog trainers because of the deep relationship that we are able to have because our dogs live in our household. All right, so we're with our dogs all the time. So can zoo animal trainers take aspects of that into their life with their animals in order to make animals in captivity's life better and more enriched, more satisfactory. Okay, so that's some background. So hopefully you're still with me 6.5 minutes into it, okay? So when I started putting up stuff, and I've seen this is looking more further back on what we should, would, can, and those will do with our animals. So the question that I am, the stage that I'm at now, when people say you can't train a dog to a high level of competition in a sport using non-aversive training, so using a positive reinforcement or not using compulsion, okay, so not using coercion and compulsion. So that will be one position. One, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's the case. I think that we can achieve a high level of performance with these animals. So that's the first thing, one I don't agree with you. And secondly is, even if that was the case, another question to be asked in that instance is then saying, should we be subjecting our domestic dogs that we have brought into our world, okay, should we be subjecting them to that level of treatment of coercion for something which is not necessary for that dog's life, okay? Now, people turn around and say, yeah, it builds enrichment and it gives the dog something to do. Yeah, it does, but the rule set is ours, okay? And if the rule set, the human rule set, says that the dog has to perform to this degree, and again, don't agree with you, if the only way of getting the dog within those rules, to perform to that rule set, is through compulsion. I think that's a bigger question to be asking, whether that's ethical or not. And for me, it's not. Okay, so look at it from a child's point of view, and this used to happen. Okay, it still does in some countries. But imagine we used to say, for a 15-year-old, 16 or a 16-year-old gymnast to perform at the Olympics, we have to physically abuse them in order to get that performance. There's a reason why that's not right, okay? And it's not right not because we don't achieve that result. It's not right because it's not right for the individual who's receiving the abuse, okay? So if we're using prong collars, e-collars, choke chains in order to get a performance, which, let's face it, all protection sports, agility, fly ball, obedience, okay, all of these are performances for us. Okay, yep, there are benefits to the dogs, but they're performances for us. The dog doesn't care that they've got a ribbon or not. It's only us that care about whether they've got the ribbon or not. Okay, so that's that's another point. Okay, and the next point I was wanting to make, is it right that we subject our dogs to conditions where it is necessary to put them under coercive influences in order to get a performance which is for our entertainment? Okay, so that's covering the sports side of it. Okay, and then moving on to horses, what I've noticed when I started putting up some stuff about horse training of late is, and I put this up in the posts, there isn't an argument that anybody has made for the use of spurs, whips, bits, putting spatial pressure on the horse, all these other physical coercive tools and techniques. Nobody has come up with an argument or a justification of that which I have not already heard with for the same justification or arguments with dogs over the last 15 years that I've been doing this. Okay, I mean, not one. I've heard all of the discussions before. So somebody had mentioned that for doing dressage, that if they do dressage with their horses and they want to compete, they have to have a bit. So that's the rule set. The horse has to be wearing a bit in order to compete at dressage. Now, for me, the question that immediately springs to mind is, why do you have to do dressage? And they turn around and say, because it's for the horse's benefit. Cool. Can you train dressage without it and not compete? Well, I wouldn't be as good and I want to compete. So that's now for the person and not for the horse. So we're subjecting our horses to a human rule set, okay, which requires the use of a bit, rather than turning around and saying, I'm not doing that because it doesn't sit well with my ethics. Okay, so you see how the questions that we're asking are different there. Okay, and then it's the same as with horse racing as well. And I get that this will be unpopular, okay, in some sectors. Okay, I get it, right? I don't really care. Okay, I don't care if my opinion is unpopular with you. My family, I've been around horse racing my entire life. Okay, in various ways. Okay, up until about 10 years ago, and went to the races. Okay, I have been around horses. Okay, I've been around horse racing rather. Okay, the use of a bit, a whip or spurs in order to get the horse to perform for our entertainment. Okay, and that's what it is. Horse racing is for human entertainment. Yep, I get that we breed these horses in order to race, so let's race them without the entertainment. But then that's just going back to, we make a living out of racing horses. Okay, yeah, so I get that horses like to race. I get that greyhounds like to run. But as soon as we start earning money from them, and the money that we're earning from these animals that is determined by how well that animal performs, that now means that we will start to put pressure on these animals through coercion, through the use of bits, the use of whips, and in order to get that performance from them. And for me, that's not ethical. It's just not right. And one of the things I remember as a child, watching the races with my dad, and the jockey was penalised for too much use of the whip. Okay, and I asked my dad, I was a child, and I asked my dad, what's the story with that? He says, well, what they're actually supposed to do most of the time is just show the horse the whip. So you see the jockey coming up with the whip past the horse's eyes. Okay, so they show the horse the whip in order to get more performance. Okay, now in order for that to work from a behavioural point of view, that is a threat. So the horse has already learned, I'm going to show you the whip, and if you don't start moving faster, I'm now going to use it. Okay, so it comes up here first, now it starts coming round to the horse's rump, and you're saying to the horse, I'm going to hurt you or else. Sorry, my bad. You have to work faster, you have to run faster, or else I'm going to hurt you. So this is now an or else. You're going to work or else I'm going to hurt you. So it's now a threat. Okay, so the use of the whip is, even if we don't use it, it's like me raising my hand to a child like that and doing this. Okay, that is a threat of violence. Okay, it's a threat of force. And again, if we are using force and coercion in order to get entertainment from our animals, again, not right. Okay, and from my point of view, I will absolutely state that it is not right. And this now just depends on where your line is drawn. Okay, so we don't bait bulls. We don't. Well, sorry, it's not legal. Okay, to bait bulls, to bait bears. We don't fight animals in the Colosseum anymore. Okay, so bear baiting, bull baiting, and dog fighting, they all went out within the last, what was it? I don't think it was legal in the 1900s in the UK. Maybe, I think dog fighting might have been legal in the UK in the 1900s, but maybe not. But bear baiting and bull baiting was the 1800s, I'm pretty sure. I think the Victorians outlawed that. So it depends on where you draw the line, okay, of what is it okay to subject animals to for the sake of human entertainment. Okay, and it's a different argument from the consumption of meat for me. Okay, and again, this is my journey. Okay, I'm still not there yet. I'm getting there. Okay, so there's some stuff to consider there. Okay, I mean, 15 minutes into the video. Okay, so hopefully you're still with me. Yeah, I get that it might be unpopular. Okay, but it's our difference in how some of us want to treat our animals and others. And very lastly, what then happens is that people who use coercion with their dogs feel judged by people like me, okay, who don't use coercion. And I've heard it, well, do you think you're better than me? Right, so something came to my mind there. Okay, if you're feeling judged, okay, why are you feeling judged? So rather than saying, why are you judging me for my attitudes towards my animals, if we can reframe that or ask a different question, why do I feel judged? Okay, and when our actions are subject to comment, okay, or our beliefs are subject to comment, it is challenging and difficult and painful to examine those, and I fully appreciate that, which is why you get this backlash and this justification, which I don't allow on this page. Okay, so hopefully this has been useful to you. Some things to consider. I'm not looking for a debate. I'm not looking for you to come on and tell me that I'm wrong. And I've covered that in the preamble. So hopefully you've got something out of this, and I'll catch you in the next lesson, next video or next post. And to all of those that are continuing to follow my stuff and like and share and stuff, massive appreciation to you and much love to you.